Bhagavad Gita, chapter 18, text 75. Vyasa Shrutavan Etad Guhyamaham Param Yogam Yogeshwarat Krishna Sakshat Kathayatah Swayam. Vyasa Prasadat, by the mercy of Vyasadev, Shrutavan, have heard, Etat, this, Guhyam, confidential, Aham, I, Param, the supreme, Yogam, mysticism, Yoga Ishwarat, from the master of all mysticism, Krishnat, from Krishna, Sakshat, directly, Kathayatah, speaking, Swayam, personally. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Translation. By the mercy of Vyasa, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna. Please repeat. By the mercy of Vyasa, I have heard these most confidential talks directly from the master of all mysticism, Krishna, who was speaking personally to Arjuna. Purport. Vyasa was the spiritual master of Sanjaya, and Sanjaya admits that it was by Vyasa's mercy that he could understand the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This means that one has to understand Krishna not directly, but through the medium of the spiritual master. The spiritual master is the transparent medium, although it is true that the experience is still direct. This is the mystery of the disciplic succession. When the spiritual master is bona fide, then one can hear Bhagavad Gita directly as Arjuna heard it. There are many mystics and yogis all over the world, but Krishna is the master of all yoga systems. Krishna's instruction is explicitly stated in Bhagavad Gita: surrender unto Krishna. One who does so is the topmost yogi. This is confirmed in the last verse of the 6th chapter, Yoginam api sarvesham. Narada is the direct disciple of Krishna and the spiritual master of Vyasa. Therefore, Vyasa is as bona fide as Arjuna because he comes in the disciplic succession, and Sanjaya is the direct disciple of Vyasa. Therefore, by the grace of Vyasa, Sanjaya's senses were purified and he could see and hear Krishna directly. One who directly hears Krishna can understand this confidential knowledge. If one does not come to the disciplic succession, he cannot hear Krishna. Therefore, his knowledge is always imperfect, at least as far as the understanding of Bhagavad Gita is concerned. At least as far as understanding Bhagavad Gita is concerned. In Bhagavad Gita, all the yoga systems, Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti Yoga are explained. Krishna is the master of all such mysticism. It is to be understood, however, that as Arjuna was fortunate enough to understand Krishna directly, so by the grace of Vyasa, Sanjaya was also able to hear Krishna directly. Actually, there is no difference between hearing directly from Krishna and hearing directly from Krishna via a bona fide spiritual master like Vyasa. The spiritual master is the representative of Vyasadev also. Therefore, according to the Vedic system, on the birthday of the spiritual master, the disciples conduct the ceremony called Vyasa Puja. So, it's a very interesting verse, important verse in the Bhagavad Gita. So, Sanjaya, who actually was narrating the entire incidences of the battlefield to Dhritarashtra, he actually was the one who was narrating this entire Bhagavad Gita vicariously, because he was witnessing what was going on in the battlefield. from the palace. So this is technology that is not known yet to man. We have a not so good of a imitation of that in the form of television and Netflix and YouTube, where we can see something happening far away, live broadcast. But if you notice, on TV, the only senses that can be engaged, the only of our senses that can be engaged are our eyes and our ears, right? Our tongue, our touch, and our smell, the nose, are not, we don't have full experience of what is going on the other side of the earth or something, wherever it is broadcasted from. So only two senses are able to engage with that, and also in a limited way. Now with VR, virtual reality, those glasses, those goggles, you have a little bit more of a 3D experience, but still not full. Not all the senses are engaged. But Sanjaya's vision was different. He could fully experience what was going on the battlefield as if he was there. This is unique. And he could zoom out. If you notice in the Bhagavad Gita, in the first chapter, Sanjaya is explaining or relating what was going on, the conversation between Duryodhana and Dronacharya. The first, second verse to the 10th verse was what was going on, the conversation between Duryodhana and Dronacharya. Then he cuts to the description of Bhishma Dev blowing his conch shell and all of that. And then he cuts to the conversation between Krishna and Arjuna. Now they were on the two opposite sides of the battlefield. So how could he hear amidst all the clamor and noise that goes on when you have thousands of elephants, horses, and soldiers shouting their war cries, and with all the clashing weapons, the metal that is clashing, the armors, the swords, the maces, and everything. So much is going on. I would need a mic to speak in this one room. And if Krishna and Arjuna were speaking and then Dronacharya and Duryodhana were speaking, how could he hear what they were saying even? So he could zoom into any part of that battlefield and take a look at anything he wanted. So that is not normal for our level of technology that we know. So spiritual technology is always superior to material devices, and especially by the mercy of the spiritual master, we can see Krishna directly. In the Ramayana, Hanuman showed, he tore open his chest and showed Sitaram. So not only he could see Sitaram, but he could show others Sitaram. That is the power of Vaishnava. Today in the afternoon we were singing Krishna Shay Tomar, Krishna Dite Paro, Tomar Shakti Ache. So a Vaishnava's power is that Krishna Shay Tomar. Krishna is the property of a Vaishnava. How could Hanuman show? How was he so confident that Sitaram was there? Because in open heart surgery, I think a doctor would know. Open heart surgery, you open the heart, nothing is there. Blood and some, disgusting looking organs. But how come Arjuna was showing Sita and Ram? So because he was very, very confident. Not just confident, he was, as a matter of fact, he was speaking as a matter of factly. He was not even proud to show. He was challenged. You think you can see Sita and Ram everywhere? Yes. You can see them in your heart? Yes. Just like Prahlad, Hiranyakashipu challenged, can you see him? Is he in this pillar? Yes. So he was not like, yeah, but he was not like that. Yeah, he's there. And that is the power of a Vaishnava. Not only he can see, but he can show as well. So similarly, Prabhupada, if you see, he can see Krishna, and in his books, whoever reads them, they also can see. So he can show Krishna to everyone who's reading his books. So it is the same as Hanuman showing Sita and Ram. The process by which one can see Krishna in the heart, that is given to us by Prabhupada. That's why Prabhupada said, in the pages of this Bhagavatam, every page there is Krishna. So that is how Krishna dite paro. Here also, Vyasa Prasada Shrutavan etad guhyam aham param. So by the mercy of Vyasadev, the disciple could see Yasya Prasadat Bhagavat Prasada, Yasya Aprasadan Nagati Kutopi. So Yasya Prasadat or Vyasa Prasadat, same thing. The spiritual master is the representative of Vyasadev. Vyasadev is the original guru, original spiritual master of everyone. Krishna Dvaipayana Vyasa. And Jiva Goswami, in his Shat Sandarbhas, especially in the Tattva Sandarbha, he makes a very strong case for Srila Vyasadev's position on why his meditation of Krishna is the criterion on which all Vedic statements should be judged or understood. So what was Vyasa's meditation? What did Vyasa see? Okay, let's go there. Srimad Bhagavatam 174. These are four very important verses. So Vyasadev saw this. Bhakti yogena manasi samyak pranihite male apashyat purusham purnam mayam chatadapashrayam. Thus he fixed his mind, perfectly engaging it by linking it in devotional service, Bhakti Yoga, without any tinge of materialism, and thus he saw the absolute personality of Godhead, along with his external energy, which was under full control. So he saw Krishna, and he saw Maya, which was under full control of Krishna, number one. Then he saw something else. So, Mataji's, if you don't mind, Mataji's is inside. Yaya sammohito jiva atmanam trigunaatmakam paropi manutenartham tatkritam chabhipadyate. Then he saw Krishna, he saw Maya, which was under his full control. Then he saw, due to this external energy, the living entity, although transcendental to the three modes of material nature, thinks of himself as a material product and thus undergoes the reactions of material miseries. Now, he saw the potency of Maya. What was the influence of this Maya that was under Krishna's full control? So he saw the living entities, the jivas, who are us. We are all jivas. He saw us, and he saw how Maya was bewildering us. And what is that bewilderment? We are actually, Krishna says, Mamaivamsa Jivaloke Jivabhuta Sanatana. We are eternal parts and parcels of Krishna. Please be seated. Prabhuji is here and Mataji is here. So, we are actually parts and parcels of Krishna. Just like fire and sparks of fire. The fire is big, the sparks of fire are small. But both are fiery in nature. So similarly, we are spirit, we are Atma, and Krishna is the supreme Atma, Paramatma. Whereas matter is dull. It has no spirit, it has no life. And the bewilderment is, by the influence of Maya, the living entity who is actually living, he thinks he is this body. and he misidentifies himself. And that's the beginning of all misconceptions and problems. When we think we are the body, we think I am this body. Body is actually made up of Panchabhuta, Panchamahabhuta, the five elements which are earth, water, fire, air, and ether. And then there are Sukshma Sharira, the subtle body, which comprises the mind, the intelligence, and the false ego, false identification. So these three things, Mana, Buddhi, Ahankar, these are the subtle body. These comprise the subtle body. So we have the gross body which we can perceive, and then we have the subtle body which we know it is there, but we can't perceive with our senses. None of these elements we are. We are transcendental to these eight, the Panchamahabhuta and the Sukshma Bhuta. Apareyam itastvanyam vidhime prakritim param jiva bhutam mahabaho yayedam dharyate jagat. The living entity, we, the jivas, are transcendental to this. So which is why Krishna starts off with that knowledge in the Bhagavad Gita. What is that? What we are and what we are not. And in fact, he starts with what we are not in order to establish what we are. Because if I say Atma, you will just roll your eyes. Yeah, I know that. I've heard it many times. But actually we don't know. We actually do not know. Because we always look in the mirror and think that this is who I am. But that's not what we are. That's our body. So Krishna very nicely explains in the Bhagavad Gita, Vasamsi jirnani yatha vihaya navani grihanati naroparani tatha sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi. So the soul, the Atma, wears these bodies as clothes, Vasamsi. Just like I am not my cloth. But wherever I move, the cloth also moves. It looks alive. It looks animated. It is animated. But that does not mean it's alive. It's only moving because I am wearing it. So similarly, the body, we are wearing this body now. The Atma is wearing this body, and that's why this body is animated. Just like when you wear a glove, when you move, the glove moves. You will never think that the glove is alive. Right? It's foolish to think so. We are alive, and I'm wearing the glove, and that's why it's. Similarly, this body, to think that this body is now alive and one day it will be dead, is actually an illusion. The body is always dead, just like the gloves are always dead, the clothes are always dead. They're never alive. Never alive. And we never die. The body never lives. Only when they come together, the body is animated and we think it is alive now, and one day it will die. So this is our misconception, misidentification. And then while we are living, so-called, we always live actually, because the Atma has no birth and no death at all. And we just change clothes. Like we change clothes every day, we change bodies every life. And even this word every life is a phrase stemming from that misconception. Because there is not every life. There is only one life. We never die. We only, there is this YOLO, you only live once. The hedonists, the modern kind of understanding is that we only live once, and after you are dead, you're gone, finished. There's only one life, you have it. That's wrong, but you only live once, that phrase is not entirely wrong. In fact, if we really understand what life is, we understand that we just live. We just live. We don't die at all. It's not once or twice. We never die and we were never born. There was not a point in time when we began to exist. This is all stated in the Bhagavad Gita, you see. Natvevaham jatunasam natvam neme janadhipa nachaiva na bhavishyama sarve vayamatah param. Never was there a time when I did not exist, nor you, nor all these kings, nor in the future shall any of us cease to be. So there never was a time when we did not exist, and there will never be a time when we will not exist. So this birth and death itself is an illusion. But that's from our perspective. It looks like somebody has taken birth and somebody will die. That's from our limited perspective. So Krishna is giving us a much broader perspective, a much more zoomed out perspective on our life. So we never take birth and never die. So that is the beginning of spiritual understanding. To understand that we are not the body, we are not the mind, we are not the intelligence, none of these we are. We are the spirit soul, the Atma. Aham Brahmasmi. Not Aham Sharirasmi, Aham Manosmi. No, Aham Brahmasmi. So, I am spirit soul, I am none of these material coverings. That's the beginning of spiritual life, and it goes on. Okay, if now I am spirit soul, then if I am not the body, now the body is Indian because it was made in India. Every product made in China, made in India, you have. So some bodies may be made in China, some bodies made in India, some bodies made in Singapore. But that does not mean I am an Indian. It follows from this knowledge that I am not the body. So if I am not the body, and if the body is Indian, I am not Indian. I am not Chinese. I am not Hindu. I am not Muslim. I am not Christian. None of these tags we have put for ourselves, attached to ourselves, are true. These are all false designations. So, that's how we understand slowly, analytically, and that's how Bhagavad Gita reveals to us analytically how we are not the body first, and then shows us that we are Atma. Okay, now if I am Atma, my relation to my body, my relation to my family, which is related to the body, my relationship to my country where my body was born, all of that is not true then, because I am not the body. If the body was born in India, I am not Indian, so I am not related to any of these things. Then what am I related to? What is my identity then? So until now, when we have been thinking that I am this, I am that, I am an Indian, I am a man, I am a human being, all these things are wrong. Our identity is inherently attached to something. If I say I am a human being, I am making myself think that I belong to certain species, or I belong to certain gender, I belong to certain nationality, I belong to certain species. So my identity is always a sense of belonging to something. Now if I strip all of that from my identity, and none of them are true, where do I belong? To whom do I belong? Is the next question. And that's when Krishna introduces our relationship to him. That we are his parts and parcels. We are eternally related to him. All the relationships that we have in this world are only perverted reflections of our real relationships with Krishna, but in a very limited, temporary and perverted way. So in this way, Krishna opens us up to the entire science of spiritual life. Now, this science, Krishna revealed to Arjuna, and Vyasadeva could see all of that from his mystic vision, and by his mercy, even Sanjaya could see. This relay, television-like technology, is not working on modern antennas and satellites and cameras. No, it is a much superior technology, and it is possible with not only just any yoga. Of course, there is mystic yoga. Now we are not talking about the so-called true yoga and real yoga studios in CBD area. They are not true yoga. That's not real yoga. That's absolute crap. Because that's just some what is that exercise to keep fit. Keep the body in shape. That's has nothing to do with yoga. Absolutely. That's not real yoga. That's not true yoga. True yoga means this. Okay, let's talk about the asanas part. Asanas is only one of the ashtanga. Ashtanga means 8 parts are there. Asana is the third part only. Yama, Niyama, Asana, Pranayama, Pratyahara, Dharana, Dhyana, Samadhi. So there are 8 parts to it. Simply doing asana and some breathing and then forgetting the rest of it, forgetting it actually defeats the entire purpose of the whole process of yoga. The definition of yoga is compromised. What is yoga? Yoga means connection. Connection of what? Some people say, oh, body and mind. But the body and mind are already connected. You think and you do something. Connected. What is disconnected there? We are always connected with our mind. Stupid in definition. Yoga means to, now we are in Viyoga, a state of disconnection with the Lord. To connect back with Him is actually yoga. Then you may ask, then what is that? What has that to do with the postures and the breathing and all of that? That is for the people who do not have the love for the Lord yet, but it's a mechanical way of controlling the senses so that the mind can be fixed on one point, which is the Lord. So let's go here in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna briefly describes this yoga. And it is not supposed to be done in a studio where men and women all come together and have a nice time. That's not a yoga at all. Shuchau deshe pratisthapya sthiram asanam atmanah natyuchritam nati nicham chailajina kushottaram tatraikagram manah kritva yatachittendriya kriyah upavishyasane yunjyad yogam atma vishuddhaye. To practice yoga, one should go to a secluded place and should lay kusha grass on the ground and then cover it with a deer skin and a soft cloth. You have to go to the forest first of all. Nowadays, who can go to the forest? Doing in CBD, what kind of yoga is that? The seat should be neither too high nor too low and should be situated in a sacred place. The yogi should then sit on it very firmly and practice yoga to purify the heart by controlling his mind, senses and activities and fixing the mind on one point. What is that point? Next. Samam kaya shirogrivam dharayannachalam sthirah samprekshya nasikagram swam dishaschanavalokayan prashantatma vigatabhir brahmachari vrate sthitah manah samyamya machitto yukta asita matparah. You see how strict this is. Making a joke out of it and having some World Yoga Day. What is that? May 21st, is it? World Yoga Day, they say. Every day should be yoga, but not. First of all, understand what yoga is. So let's see. One should hold one's body, neck and head erect in a straight line and stare steadily at the tip of the nose. Thus, with an unagitated, subdued mind, devoid of fear, completely free from sex life, one should meditate upon me within the heart and make me the ultimate goal of life. Make me the ultimate goal of life. Who? Who is speaking here? Who is that me? With a capital M. Yukta asita matparaha. Krishna is saying. Nowadays people are teaching yoga without God, without meditation on God. And who God is also they do not know. Krishna is saying, I am God. That's it. Nobody else is God. Krishna is the Supreme Personality of God. If you want to challenge that, then you challenge Bhagavad Gita, you challenge what Vyasadeva has said, you challenge Krishna himself, you challenge Lord Shiva who says Krishna is supreme, you challenge Brahma who says Krishna is supreme, you challenge Durga, you challenge Skanda. Every one of them, all the devatas, every one of them is against your opinion if you say that Krishna is not supreme. They say that Krishna is supreme and I say that no, I believe Lord Shiva is supreme, Lord Durga Devi is supreme, Ganesh Ji is supreme. You can believe whatever you want. That doesn't make it true. That doesn't make it fact. Okay. So we have to understand what is fact from the statements of Krishna, from the statements of our Shastra, Bhagavad Gita. So that's why Krishna finally says, what does he say? Yoginam api sarvesham madgatenantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamo matah. And of all yogis, now there are karma yogis, jnana yogis, hatha yogis, so many yogis. Of all yogis, the one with great faith who always abides in me, thinks of me within himself and renders transcendental loving service to me, He is the most intimately united with me in yoga and is the highest of all. That is my opinion. My with a capital M, Krishna's opinion, which is fact. His opinions are not like our opinions, which can be true or not true. His opinions are facts. So a bhakti yogi is the topmost yogi. Yeah. So this whole science of bhakti yoga is revealed to us by the mercy of the spiritual master. Therefore, it is said, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu very nicely says, ब्रह्मांड भ्रमित कौन भाग्यवान जीव गुरु कृष्ण प्रसादे पाय भक्ति लता बीज. According to their karma, all living entities are wandering throughout the entire universe. Some of them are being elevated to the upper planetary systems, and some are going down into the lower planetary systems. Now, out of many millions of wandering living entities, one who is very fortunate gets an opportunity to associate with a bona fide spiritual master by the grace of Krishna. So today is Vyasa Puja day, the appearance day of Srila Prabhupada. This is the understanding of what the significance is, that a spiritual master of the caliber of Srila Prabhupada, who spread the science of Krishna consciousness all over the world, who gave the whole world the opportunity to see Krishna, to understand Krishna, to dedicate their lives to Krishna. That is not an ordinary person. He is sent by Krishna to fulfill that mission in this world. And therefore, the birth and activities of the pure devotees of Krishna are as transcendental as those of Lord Krishna himself. When we say Janma Karma Chame Divyam Evam Yovitti Tattvataha, when we say Janma Karma Chame Divyam, Krishna's birth and activities being transcendental. A pure devotee's birth and activities are as transcendental as Krishna's. Because he does not take birth according to karma like we did. We took our birth according to our past karma. Krishna did not do that. Prabhupada did not do that. They came here on a special envoy, special mission to deliver us. So Krishna sends such pure devotees of his to enlighten the population to God consciousness. And he showed by personal example in his incarnation as Ramachandra. He took a guru. He accepted Vishwamitra as his guru. In his incarnation as Krishna, he accepted Sandipani Muni as his guru. In his incarnation as Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he accepted Ishwarpuri as his guru. In his incarnation as Parshuram, he accepted his father Jamadagni as guru. So in this way, every time he comes, he teaches us how important becoming a disciple of a bona fide guru is. If Krishna himself, because some people may say, no, I don't believe in any guru. I will decide for myself. I will study everything and I'll come to an impartial conclusion myself. We think we are impartial. That's our problem. We are so biased. Our vision and our thinking is so skewed that we think we can have this absolutely impartial decision about anything. We cannot. We are influenced by so many factors. We can never have an impartial understanding of anything. We will only see things through the lens of what we were fed. For example, if we learned in school that from monkeys evolution happened and then man came. Now if I say that's never happened, some people will argue, no, how can you say it did not happen? The genes are very close and all that. No, my question is, did you see a monkey giving birth to a man? No, this happens through a very long time. Okay, then why are the monkeys still existing if they have evolved to man? Why are they still in existence? We don't first question what we were initially taught. We question everything else based on what we were initially taught. If that was wrong, we prefer that over the rational truth. We're always, see, we can never have an impartial understanding. So the proper way to understand, to receive knowledge is from a bona fide spiritual master. And what does it mean by bona fide spiritual master? Because nowadays you can see gurus everywhere. All kinds of people are saying, I am guru. And people are also following. Some people are hugging and saying, this is, I am guru. I hug people. We call them the huggies, the diapers. So, guru is not a huggy. Okay? He does not hug people and then, oh, they're feeling something. What feeling? Krishna hugged Arjuna on the battlefield. Oh, Arjuna, you're crying. Okay, I'll hug you. What nonsense is that? Krishna spoke knowledge. This, some phantasmagoria feelings and, some visions. Who knows what is true and what is false there? We should examine everything, how Krishna is demonstrating things should be done. And we should judge everything according to that rubric, that yardstick. If Krishna did not hug people, or if Krishna did not show some magic or something, then why are we glorifying somebody who's bringing out some gold chain or something like this? This is guru, big guru, and everybody is following blindly. And sometimes they're dressing up with themselves as God. The guru never does that. He never imitates. So, a proper guru shows us how to see God. I'll show you something. Classic Hindu. You know what is classic Hindu? This is classic Hindu. Yaya dharmam adharmam cha karyam chakaryam evacha ayathavat prajanati buddhihi sapartha rajasi. These two verses, this and the next. O son of Pritha, that understanding which cannot distinguish between religion and irreligion, between action that should be done and action that should not be done, is in the mode of passion, rajasic activity. Okay. So what is religion and what is not religion? I don't know. I will worship anyone. What if he is God? Then I'll get some curse, no? So I should worship. Better not offend anyone. Only idiots will think like this, who don't know what is truth. And I'm using the word idiot because Krishna says mudha. It's Krishna's word. I'm not even inventing anything. Adharmam, this is even worse. Adharmam dharmam itiya manyate tamasavrita sarvarthan viparitamscha buddhi sapartha tamasi. That understanding which considers irreligion to be religion and religion to be irreligion under the spell of illusion and darkness and strives always in the wrong direction of Partha is in the mode of ignorance. Now, this purport is very important, very short but very important. Intelligence in the mode of ignorance is always working the opposite of the way it should. It accepts religions which are not actually religions and rejects actual religion. Men in ignorance understand a great soul to be a common man and accept a common man as a great soul. They think truth to be untruth and accept untruth as truth. In all activities, they simply take the wrong path. Therefore, their intelligence is in the mode of ignorance. This is what happens when we align ourselves not with scriptures, but with our mind. When we take our mind as guru, this is the result. Therefore, we need a guru. And that is the importance of today's occasion, Vyasa Puja, where the spiritual master, who is a pure devotee of Krishna, who comes in a parampara, sampradaya, who comes in a bona fide disciplic succession, unbroken chain of spiritual masters stemming from Krishna himself. And there are only 4 such sampradayas on earth. The Brahma Sampradaya, the Rudra Sampradaya, the Kumara Sampradaya, and the Shri Sampradaya. So these 4 sampradayas, ours is from Brahma Sampradaya. Brahma, Madhva, Gaudiya Sampradaya. So this is the proper disciplic succession, unbroken chain of knowledge passed down from spiritual master to disciple, from master to disciple, from master to disciple, unbroken. So Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, 2nd verse, Evam parampara praptam imam rajarshayo viduhu sa kaleneha mahata yogo nashtah parantapa. This supreme science was thus received through the chain of disciplic succession, and the saintly kings understood it in that way. But in course of time, the succession was broken, and therefore the science as it is appears to be lost. So because it was lost, Krishna says, next verse, that, oh, I have now come again to revive that science by speaking it to you. Sa evayam maya tedya yoga proktah puratana bhaktosi me sakha cheti rahasyam hetaduttamam. That very ancient science of the relationship with the Supreme is today told by me to you because you are my devotee as well as my friend, and can therefore understand the transcendental mystery of this science. So that ancient science, it came back to re-establish, revive it. So this is what an acharya does as well. So Krishna, what he recommends, what does Krishna recommend? Some people say, I don't need a guru. I will communicate with God directly. If God is in my heart, why can't I communicate? Why I need somebody, an agent to go to Guru? God. Why do I need an agent? Well, I just showed that Krishna himself took Guru, Ramchandra Bhagavan took Guru, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Parshuram, all took Guru. Now, Krishna himself in the Bhagavad Gita, if you say that, okay, I will listen only to Krishna, not to any Guru, then listen to Krishna then. We see what Krishna is saying. Tadvidhi pranipatena pariprashnena sevaya upadekshanti te jnanam jnaninas tattvadarshinah. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Inquire from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. So Krishna, if I only listen to Krishna and not any Guru, then while Krishna is saying, please go to Guru. So now I have to go to Guru because I have to listen to Krishna. Try to learn this truth by approaching a spiritual master. Who is that? Tattvadarshi. Who is seeing the Tattva, the absolute truth. So which is how, then what happens? Okay. What is the result of going to such a Guru? If I become a proper disciple of a bona fide Guru, sometimes this is another important thing. Not only is a bona fide Guru important, but we also should be a bona fide disciple. Just because the Guru is bona fide doesn't mean that every disciple will get the same result. No. Now Sanjaya is saying, Vyasa prasadat shrutavan. By the mercy of Vyasadeva, I could see and hear the discussion between Krishna and Arjuna. That is because Sanjaya was a proper disciple. That is the reason why Vyasa's mercy worked. Yasya prasadad bhagavat prasada, yasya aprasadan nagateh kutopi. If the mercy of the Guru is there, then the mercy of Krishna is there. And if mercy of Krishna is there, we can see Krishna. We can see everything that, the whole truth of Krishna. If the mercy of Guru is not there, then we have no place in spiritual life. We are in uncharted waters, uncharted territory. And why would a Guru not be merciful? That's the next question. Because Yasya prasadat bhagavat prasad. If the Guru is merciful, by his mercy we can get Krishna's mercy. If Guru's mercy is not there, then we cannot get Krishna. Why would the Guru not be merciful? Guru is always merciful. Well, I may not be a recipient, a qualified recipient of that mercy if I disobey his order. That's when aprasadan happens. Right? If I am satisfying, if you see, 10, 80, 42. Okay. This is Sandipani Muni, who is the Guru of Krishna. He said something very important. Tushtoham bho dvija sreshtha satyaha santu manorathaha chandamsyayatayamani bhavantviha paratracha. It's a very, very important verse. See what he said. So Sandipani Muni said to Krishna and Sudama, who were his disciples, what did he say? You boys are the best of the twice born. Twice born means those who have received the second birth by initiation. Disciple. Why was he satisfied? Because of their service, selfless service, taking so much risk. May all your desires be fulfilled, which we sing every morning. Jai Prasade Pure Sarva Asha. And may the Vedic mantras you have learned never lose their meaning for you in this world or the next. What is that? If the Guru is satisfied, the teachings of the Vedas that we learn never lose their meaning for us. What does that mean? That means if the Guru is dissatisfied, if I displease the Guru by disobeying his order and committing an offense to him, then I will lose my understanding of my scriptural understanding, my understanding of Bhagavad Gita and Bhagavatam. Is the door completely locked? People can enter, right? But I think keep it open because people wouldn't know probably if they come and see it closed. What about the other door, the wooden one? That is open, okay. So if the Guru is satisfied, you see the very important Sanskrit word here is ayata yamani, never growing old. You know what is yatayamam? Ayatayamani. The opposite is yatayamani or yatayamam. We see this word, right? You know where this word comes? In the Bhagavad Gita, you know, we know sattvic food, right? We have heard the word sattvic food. But there is also rajasic food, there is tamasic food. Right? So in the tamasic, in the verse describing tamasic food, yatayamam, you see this word? And gatarasam, all the taste is gone. Yatayamam means food cooked 3 hours before being eaten. Stale food. So yatayamam means stale, and such food, gatarasam, the taste is gone. No more taste in that food. So ayatayamani means the Vedic mantras will never become stale. You know, in the beginning of one's Krishna consciousness, it's all very exciting. It's all very new and very fascinating. Oh, it's all very nice. Oh, many nice things I'm learning. But then, when it comes to 2 years, 3 years, 4, 5, 6 years in the movement, one may, if he's not careful, one may take Krishna consciousness for granted and he may not pursue anymore any advancement. What happens then? One's spiritual life becomes stagnant and it becomes stale. No more fresh. He's not waking up every day excited about being Krishna conscious. He's seeing it as a chore. Oh, I have to chant 16 rounds now again. Yesterday I chanted all 16 rounds. Now again I have to start. Again I have to wake up in the morning. Oh, I have to cook and offer to Krishna. It becomes a burden. Oh, I have to read. So fat book, Bhagavad Gita, how to read all this. No taste. That happens when we do not please the spiritual master. It is not simply, we have to fix our emotional, what is that? Weather in our brain. Weather which goes like Singapore weather. It's raining and then 2 seconds later it's nothing, as if nothing ever happened and sun is shining bright again. Just 2 seconds before it was thundering and everything. So, and then you drive a little bit, 1 kilometer away there's no rain. You're in an absolute heavy torrent and then you go 1 kilometer away and it's dry as a desert. So our brain is like that. Sometimes a good mood, sometimes not, sometimes accepting, sometimes rejecting. So how to deal with that? We don't need to make some adjustment in our psychological, emotional um, resetting. That's not what is needed. What we need to do, what we need to recognize is that I should always stick to the instructions of the spiritual master. What I am learning, what am I putting into practice? Am I doing it right? If I do it right, nothing will ever go wrong. Tushtoham bhoj with Dijashrestha. Sandipani Muni was satisfied, and therefore he says, Chandamsi ayatayamani. The teachings of the Vedas will never grow stale for you. They will always remain fresh. So you will see a devotee who is following the injunctions of the spiritual master, he's always inspired. He's never dull. He's never uninspired in Krishna consciousness. He never feels, oh, what am I doing in my Krishna consciousness? I should have just, earn some money at least. So many years I've spent in the temple, no salary, nothing. I don't know if I'm making the right decisions in my life. He'll never have that. If he is actually satisfying spiritual master. But if he is not, he will question what he's doing. He'll question his life decisions. And then he will fall back into Maya. So, yatayamam gatarasam. So, ayatayamani, if the spiritual master is saying, yasya prasadat bhagavat prasad. Yasya aprasadan nagati kutopi. Aprasadan happens, the spiritual master is not satisfied when we disobey his order. So, Vyasa Puja is a day in the afternoon. That's why today nobody is here, because everybody was here in the afternoon, morning to afternoon. Even after a very busy Janmashtami preparation and participation, all the devotees, more than 100 were here. So until just about 2 hours ago, no, 3 hours ago, they were all here. So we had a very big celebration today. So what is this Vyasa Puja? Vyasa Puja means to honor the spiritual master and his contribution and how our life has changed, to participate in the glorification of the spiritual master, to express our gratitude. The spiritual master, when he comes into this world, people do not know his greatness. But by the time he leaves, or sometimes it happens even much later after his disappearance, that people start to recognize his actual potency and position. Like even after, if you see, even in Christian religion, Jesus, of course, people were recognizing his greatness, but then he was also surrounded by a lot of people who were against him, and they were trying to, in fact, they crucified him, right? But later on, in fact, the next day, by the next sunrise, Judas, right? Judas, who was a traitor, he switched camp already. So they were not taking him as great as he was. Eventually, his contribution was realized. So similarly, Bhaktivinoda Thakur said, when a pure devotee is in this world, people don't recognize him. Only when he is gone, then people will start to edify him, glorify him. Oh, he was a great saint. Just like when Ganga is flowing in the backyard of one's house, he will not take it as a very great thing. He will go Ganga Snan somewhere, Haridwar. That same Ganga is here, you can snan here, na? Here it is something, no, Ganga Snan means I must go there. The same Ganga. He doesn't value it as much when it is easily available. So when a pure devotee is also easily available, we don't value it. Sannikarshottra martyanam anadarana karanam. What is that? This is in this world, familiarity breeds contempt. For example, one who lives on the banks of the Ganga might travel to some other body of water to be purified. See? Gangam hitva yathanyambhas tatratyo yati shuddhaye sannikarshotramartyanam anadarana karanam. Anadarana. Adar means what in Hindi? Respect. Adarana in Sanskrit means respect. Anadarana means lack of respect, contempt. Anadarana karanam. The cause of such contempt is sannikarsha. Sannikarsha means nearness, closeness, proximity. We take it for granted. So Vyasapuja means to understand his contribution and how his birth, his activities. We should remember his great activities, the spiritual master's sacrifices for our sake. Prabhupada did not have to go at 69 years of age to America on a freighter ship. It's not a passenger cruise. Oh, he was on a cruise liner, has a luxury 5-star cruise. But no. He was on a cargo ship. Cargo ship with all the cargo came. And then he had 2 heart attacks on 2 consecutive nights. 37-day journey across the Atlantic amidst the rocking seas. Atlantic is one of the worst seas. In fact, it is the worst sea, the most turbulent of all. Of course, after that heart attack, when Krishna massaged his heart, and all the Dashavatar actually protected the ship. You know that whole incident? So, of course, others could not see, but after that, the waters were tranquil all the way to their destination. The captain said, Swamiji, some magic you have done. I have never, on my entire career, I have not seen the Atlantic so quiet. The captain said. So, but it's still not easy, right? I mean, you're 37 days and a 70-year-old. I mean, you don't have anyone with you. Usually, when you're that old, you need to have somebody at least to, if something happens, somebody has to take care of you. No one. None of his godbrothers came. No one has assisted at all. In fact, I should say this. I was just recently reading. I somehow missed it probably when I was reading many 15, 20 years back, the entire life of Prabhupada, the story of it. So recently I was reading that when Lal Bahadur Shastri was assassinated in Tashkent, I think it was what, Kazakhstan or Ukraine? Tashkent is where? Kazakhstan? What? No, it's not Russia. Tashkent is in, I think, Kazakhstan. No. Uzbekistan, correct. Uzbekistan. So Tashkent, he was killed there. Mysterious circumstances, he died. Now, before that, Prabhupada actually met Lal Bahadur Shastri and he gave him that Bhagavatam, first set. He distributed Bhagavatam to the Prime Minister. And there's a photo also that he gave to Lal Bahadur Shastri. And he had a meeting with him, asking him to talk to his American counterparts to arrange a visa for him so that he can go to America and preach. He was trying the diplomatic route to get himself a visa to go to America for preaching. So when Lal Bahadur Shastri was killed, he wrote a letter to, I don't remember that name. So he was saying, and that meeting was also arranged. Lal Bahadur Shastri, yes, I will go and meet. His meeting with the American consulate, the diplomatic team in America was scheduled. He was scheduled to go to America. Everything was set, but then he was killed. Then Prabhupada wrote that, I was expecting this to work out, but now he's no more. And it worries me. What shall I do now? He was writing like that. He was not worried about, somebody may die, whatever. But he was worried about how he would execute his order. How would I execute my order of my Guru Maharaj? That I have to go to the Western countries. It was all getting arranged, and then now, when that happened, he did not still lose hope. He was feeling, of course, what is this? But then he tried whatever he could. And some absolute unexpected, from an unexpected quarters, the help came. He just asked somebody, whoever he was meeting, he said, because he was, who was that? from the Gita press, I think, Hanuman Prasad Podar or somebody, maybe not him, I may mix up the names, but one known gentleman of his acquaintance. So while talking to him one day, he found out that his son was in America and he married an American lady. Then Prabhupada just asked him, "Oh, your son is in America. Is it possible for him to get me a visa?" You ask. And then he said, "Okay, I will try." He left after that. He never expected that this man will actually work on it seriously, or his son would actually listen to who's his son. He's already gone. His culture is maybe, I don't know, he's already into the American society and maybe what. But that man came back after about a month or something, or two or something. He came back and he said, "Yes, Swamiji, he's willing." So he took the details and then visa was applied, visa was approved. I was very happy. He did not even expect that that would work. So whenever there was any reversal, how much of it was disappointing, he pressed forward. Try another route. That's why in the today's poem also I wrote, the forceful river, the ocean is always found by the forceful river. The river will reach the ocean. Now, if there is a big mountain that blocks its path, it will meander around it. Or if there is a big rock, it will go around it, or it will force its way and then break it and reach the ocean nonetheless. So similarly, Prabhupada's desire as a disciple to execute the order of his spiritual master was just like that forceful river, which always will find the ocean. And it found the ocean. So we have a lot to learn. Prabhupada is teaching us in so many ways. Of course, he wrote all his books and all that is for our learning. But if we learn him, if we study his life, he is teaching us, he taught us how to be an actual disciple of the Guru. How one should meditate on the order of the spiritual master, and how enthusiastic one must be in wanting to execute the order of the spiritual master. Whatever comes our way, we should channel it to Krishna's service. If anything reversal happens, still continue. Not that, oh, this did not work out, so I don't think it'll work. Give up. No, he never gave up. Imagine, he landed, okay, even if he got the visa, he went with 200 sets of his first canto of Bhagavatam. Went. When he landed, before he landed, he sold the Bhagavatam to the captain. He said, "I have 40 rupees with me. Hardly $7 worth. And nobody will accept these rupees. You take the rupees since you will go back to India anyway. You give me dollars because I need at least. You take this book." He did not ask him just donation. He could have kept the donation and sold 200 sets. No, he wanted him to get the Bhagavatam. So he said, "You take this Bhagavatam." He asked, "How much is it?" He said, $16. Then he gave $20, that captain. And then he gave him the one set of Bhagavatam, and 199 sets he came down. Came down in Boston, did not know whether to look left or right. No one receiving him on the other side. You imagine, you go to any other country, you will want people to receive you there. Nobody was receiving him. He was going on the biggest mission of the Kali Yuga, and no one to receive him there. Yet he humbly just went and stayed with that man, that son of that friend. And eventually, that was just a month. And after that, he had to move out. He had to go to New York. He went to New York. Nobody he knew there. It's so cold. And you know how he survived the first year when he had nobody? You know how he survived? No? He sold Bhagavatam. He sold Bhagavatams to people. How? Who would buy? You imagine yourself, an American walking past, and then you ask him to buy a Bhagavatam. What are you talking? What is this? How would they take? Why would they take? What is this? Who are you? Like, what is this? So, just imagine, I mean, how much struggle he went through. He did not have to go through that. You know, there are struggles of, there are many, many thousands and millions of stories of struggles of entrepreneurs and people who have made it, big in life, whatever, materially. In all their struggles, they wanted something. They wanted something for their own life. Oh, I want to become a businessman. I want to become a film star. I want to do this. I want to do that. So, a sportsman or whatever. But in Prabhupada's case, he was already a pure devotee and he was already in Vrindavan. Life is set for a perfect retirement. And that's when he took up the greatest adventure of his life. At 69. Who would attempt an adventure at 69? So, and for what purpose? For us. And when we think of those activities of Prabhupada, when we remember him, Vyasapuja day actually gives us a reason to remember these things and meditate. And like, Vishwambara Prabhu today very nicely said in his homage to Prabhupada, that, yes, we know we have to read the Bhagavad Gita, we know we have to do all these things, our sadhana. Even if we are uninspired to do them, when we remember the sacrifices of Prabhupada that he took for us, that will fill us with gratitude and we will, with more enthusiasm, we will take up. Right? So he gave the example, if one's, if the mother, say, sells her jewelry, sells her Mangal Sutra and gets money to fund the child's education. Now that child will not sit down for a minute. He will go under the street lamp or whatever it is, he will study. Because his mother sacrificed so much for him. Right? However much he may like it or not, he will just push himself. No, for my mother I will do. So like that. So, of course, that sentiment should not be the only driving factor, but, it inspires us. So, of course, Bhagavad Gita is for our own good. Bhagavatam is for our own good. All these things, sadhana, chanting 16 rounds, Hare Krishna is all for our own good. But we are so lazy and dumb that we are not interested in our own good. So when we hear of someone who sacrificed his comfortable life for our good with nothing in return for himself, when then we will begin to feel that, okay, I am not interested in my own good. Somebody has given their life, sacrificed everything for my good, although I am a total stranger to that person. Forgetting a mother sacrificing for the child, of course she will sacrifice for the child if she is actually a good mother. She will sacrifice for the child, whatever. That's understood. But she will not sacrifice for the neighbor's child, no? Prabhupada, he sacrificed for unknown people. For who? So that amount of sacrifice and for all people yet to come. So when we meditate on these activities, that how much he sacrificed. For what? For us. He will not be sitting around if he did not step onto that ship, if he did not land in Boston, if he did not sell his Bhagavatams, if he did not write his Bhagavatams. And not just there, it does not end there. The glory goes even further. When his disciples were becoming a little more into Krishna consciousness, a little more seasoned in Krishna consciousness, he engaged them. And he pushed the movement so fast, so carefully. And it, we can see we are all here because of that. All those efforts, every single one of those efforts snowballed and, into this gigantic impact that is even yet to be felt by the world. Of course, millions of people have been touched by his books. But we want to conquer the world. We are not satisfied with 10 people sitting in the room. We are not. We want the entire world. You know what is the meaning of the word Prabhupada? Prabhupada means at whose feet masters sit. He who sits at the feet of the ultimate master Krishna, and he at whose feet great masters sit. That means he is the master of masters. Gurum Muni Nam. Sukadeva Goswami was called Gurum Muni Nam. He was the spiritual master of the greatest stalwart sages of the universe. And Prabhupada's position is that. Don't think he's an ordinary Sarvadeva Mayo Guru. He is the representative of all the devatas. Sakshat Dharitvena. We should honor him as much as we should honor Krishna. Because he is a direct mercy representative of Krishna. We don't say that he is Krishna. We are not so foolish and idiotic that we will say that he is Krishna. No, we will not say that. And Prabhupada condemned anyone who says that they are Krishna. But we should give him as much respect as we give to Krishna. In fact, even more. Because without his mercy, we could have never gotten Krishna. Krishna's mercy, you see, Naivopayantyapachitiം kavayastavesha brahmayushapi kritamriddhamudasmaranta yontarbahistanubhritam ashubhan vidhunvan acharya chaitya vapusha swagatim yanakti. O my Lord, transcendental poets and experts in spiritual science could not fully express their indebtedness to you, even if they were endowed with the prolonged lifetime of Brahma. For you appear in two features, externally as the Acharya and internally as the Super Soul, to deliver the embodied living being by directing him how to come to you. You see this verse. We'll go to the verse before this. Adi 147. Okay, here you see. Shiksha Guru Keta Jani Krishnera Swarup Antarjami Bhakta Shrestha Eiduirup. One should know the instructing spiritual master to be the personality of Godhead Krishna. Lord Krishna manifests himself as the super soul and as the greatest devotee of the Lord. He is the mercy incarnation, in fact. And is it 146 where he says the mercy incarnation? Oh, this is different. 150. So actually in the purport, I think 147 or 148. So he is actually, to those who are constantly devoted, this is the Tesham Sattvavikana. So one of the purports actually says that he is the mercy incarnation of Krishna's mercy, the spiritual master. So on Vyasapuja day, the disciple actually glorifies the spiritual master, and it's not just on this day, but dhyayan stuvam stasya yashas trisandhyam. Trisandhyam means the three sandhyas, in fact the whole day, one should glorify the spiritual master. And how to glorify the spiritual master? By pushing forward this movement. Pushing forward this movement is disciples' only duty is to follow the order of the spiritual master. And sometimes we think, yeah, I took initiation. I'm following the orders of spiritual master. What is the orders of spiritual master? Chanting 16 rounds and following 4 principles. So I'm following, so I'm initiated, and so I'm going back to Godhead. Sorry. That's not the order of the spiritual master. Prabhupada never said, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur ordered me to chant 64 rounds or chant 4 principles. No, what did he say? My Guru Maharaj asked me to preach this in the Western countries. That was the order. This chanting 16 rounds, following 4 principles, yes, that's to maintain your spiritual health so that you remain fit to execute the order. You know what is fitness? People think fitness means having a chiseled body and muscles. You know what is fitness? Fitness means we should be fit to do the work that we are supposed to do. Otherwise, we are a misfit. If I come here with a chiseled body, I'm a misfit because I'm in the bodily conception of life. This domain of activity, which is spiritual Krishna consciousness, I'm a misfit. That's not fitness. Of course, we should have a healthy life, but not overly be attached to the body. So I may be fit for some physical work, something. So fitness means we should be fit to do what we're supposed to do. That's real fitness. So as human being, we have to be fit to execute the order of the spiritual master, Guru, and become Krishna conscious. I did an Instagram post many years ago, maybe 4 or 5 years ago. The lion has a mouth, has jaws which are very strong. One of the strongest bite forces in the animal kingdom. Not the highest. Hyenas and leopards and crocodiles, they have higher bite force, but is one of the strongest in the animal world. The jaws are so strong it can choke a buffalo even. So, but you know whose mouth can be even stronger than that? A human mouth. Because the lion can only capture one buffalo. Human can capture Krishna. Sevanmukhehi jihvado swayameva spuratyada. Because if we chant with devotion, we can capture Krishna in our mouth. When we're chanting Krishna's name, Krishna is already there on our tongue. And only human beings can chant like that. Sometimes parrots can. They imitate a human and maybe they can. But without any realization. But humans, we can do. We have a perfectly equipped body with which we can capture God. Not some dog or buffalo. So, lion is fit to kill those animals. We have to be fit to capture God. So, if our human life we are not becoming fit for doing this, and if I become just bodily fit, like a tiger, but we cannot. Even the strongest man is no match for a tiger, right? So actually, even if we try to compete and become strong like them, we cannot really. We cannot do it really. So instead of competing with the animals in their fitness levels, we should be fit to execute our dharma, our duty, which is to become Krishna conscious. So these 16 rounds and following 4 principles is for us to remain fit in Krishna consciousness. And those are not too enough. We should eat prasadam, just like if you want to remain fit in a material bodily sense, you have to have diet, you have to have exercise, you have to have everything. So we have to have our spiritual exercise, our spiritual diet, our spiritual friend circle, the community. All this applies to us in our domain. So if we have this, if we have the right association, then we will be inspired to have a missionary outlook on life. Don't be satisfied with a honestly uninspiring life where the only goal in life is to maintain my body, maintain my life. The goal of life is to maintain my life. That is animal. If you see animals, day and night they are hunting for food and hunting for sex, hunting for where is shelter and how to defend themselves with their claws and teeth or whatever. So, if we are going to just do that all our lives, how are we different from the animals? In what way? Aharam, nidra, bhayamaithunam, ja samanyam etat pashubir naranam. We are same as the animals. Dharmo hitesham adhiko visesho. Dharma is the unique thing that separates us from the animals. Dharmena hina pashubhir saman. Without dharma, we are animals. So, Vyasapuja day, we should have gratitude that he has come to save us from animalistic life to actual human life and ultimately to transcend. Prabhupada said, if you go to the airport, you can take a flight and go out. But if you have come to the airport and have not taken the flight, you are as far away from the destination as any other citizen of that city. Suppose I am in Singapore, I have to go to say Hyderabad. Okay. Now, distance from me to Hyderabad, say, let's say, I don't know what it is, but let's say 4,000 kilometers. Okay? And if I go to the Changi airport, I'm still 4,000 kilometers away from Hyderabad. I have not gotten closer. But it is a more conducive place in Singapore from which I can go to Hyderabad. Similarly, human life is still in the material world. We are as far away from Vaikuntha as a dog. Dog is also here, I am also here. We are as far as from Vaikuntha as each other. But our position is special because from here we can launch. Just like from the airport, you can launch, take off, and then land there. So we need to take off from here, from the material world, and land in the spiritual world. Human life offers that airport-like platform, runway. And if we don't use that runway, if the plane is going on the runway, at some point it has to take off. No? If it is going and going and going, it will crash. Right? So our life is running out. Our runway is, with each passing second, our runway is ending at some point. We are getting closer to the end of the runway. And the thing is, we don't even know when the runway ends in our case. So before that ends, we have to take off. In fact, that's why Prahlad Maharaj says in Bhagavatam, Kaumara Asrit Prajna. You don't know how long the runway is. When you're 5 years old, little bit sense in your head, start it. Start taking off. Okay. Don't wait for सब जब रिटायरमेंट हो जाए तो उसके बाद देखेंगे भगवत गीता ये सब बूढ़े लोग के लिए है for old people ना this is no it's not for old people it's for young people. In fact, one person challenged Prabhupada, like friendly challenge. He challenged Prabhupada. It's all good what you're doing. I cannot point a finger at where is bad. But the only thing I feel is like, why are you getting all these youngsters into your movement? Because these people are productive. They can do something. They can earn something. They can be productive citizens of the country, and you are just taking them out. And why don't you preach to some old people? Prabhupada asked him, who is old? What is old? Old? I mean, when I'm old. Prabhupada said, old means you are nearing death. That is old. Now, I don't know where death is. When death will come. So, if tomorrow I'm going to die, today I'm old. So, yes, you are right. It is for old people. But we're all old. I'm going to die any moment. So Parishad Maharaj also says in the Bhagavatam, 1933, Mriyamanam. You see? Is it this one? 37, is it? म्रियमाणस्य सर्वथा अतः पृच्छामि संसिद्धिं योगिनां परमं गुरुं पुरुषस्येह यत् कार्यं म्रियमाणस्य सर्वथा. You are the spiritual master of great saints and devotees. I am therefore begging you to show the way of perfection for all persons, and especially for one who is about to die. Who is not about to die? So basically for all. So that is old. We are old. And also spiritually we are old. We are beginningless. So we are as old as God. And yet we want to be eternally youthful, which is also possible when we go to Krishna. So it has to be taken up by everyone. So we are in the airport, we are on the runway. Don't crash. Like AI 171. Fuel switch off. Crash. So don't off the fuel switch. Take off. Take off nicely. So sometimes, it can happen even on the runway that I did not even take off, or I may take off and within seconds I go down, or anywhere before the destination. But no, let us work towards actually going all the distance to the destination. For that we have to be strong. We need spiritual strength. 1 week ago was Balram Purnima. Balram gives the spiritual strength, and the spiritual master is the representative of Balaram. What is that? Achyuta Bala. So he is representative of Balaram, and by following his instructions, we not only get the sword, which is the sword of instructions, but it will get sharpened. Why the sword should be sharpened? To cut what? Cut the knots of our attachment to this material world and go back to Krishna. Otherwise, we're going to take off and then one knot is there pulling us to the ground. We will crash. Cut the knots and fly. So, please take it very seriously, and on this auspicious day of Vyasa Puja, does everybody here have all the books? I mean, any book of Prabhupada? Prabhupada's books? Who has? Nobody has. Have. You have? What book you have? Prabhupada Leelamrita. Very good. You reading it? You should read Prabhupada's life. What else book you have? Srimad Bhagavatam you have. Excellent. Bhagavad Gita. You reading any of those books? Bhagavad Gita you finish and then you go into Bhagavatam. No, you come. You have, Prabhuji? You should take one today. Today you should take the Bhagavad Gita and the Krishna book at least. So, every one of us, let us actually take these books and perfect our lives. And study them at least 1 hour a day, minimum. 2 hours is ideal, 1 hour minimum. Then we will become very strong spiritually. We should understand dharma properly so that we don't have any doubts. Without any doubts, we can fully follow everything. And when I say fully follow, it doesn't mean that you have to take sannyas. Some people are scared. Oh, wait, I'll take it slowly. You're not asking to take sannyas. Wherever you are, become spiritually strong. Arjuna was not a sannyasi. After Bhagavad Gita, he did not become sannyasi. In fact, he wanted to become sannyasi and run away from the battlefield. Krishna said, you come back. You are going to fight. Don't try to escape your duty. You come and fight. So, in fact, it makes us even more. Krishna conscious does not mean laziness. Krishna consciousness means to be conscious of Krishna. That is what it is. To be conscious of Krishna. And why we should be conscious? Because we are actually, our real relationship is with Krishna. Our real object of love is Krishna. But we have forgotten him and now we are trying to love this and that person, this and that thing or whatever. But the real thing that we are supposed to love is Krishna. So, okay, we will stop it here. Any questions or comments on this topic? We can actually speak a lot more on Vyasapuja. Haven't even started almost. But this is something which we cannot, we can never repay a spiritual master. Last thing before we close. See. Yairidrishi bhagavato gatiratmavad ekantato nigamibhih pratipaditana tushyan padabhra karuna swakritena nityam ko nama pratikaroti vinodapatam. Prithu Maharaj continued, how can such persons who have rendered unlimited service by explaining the path of self-realization in relation to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and whose explanations are given for our enlightenment with complete conviction and Vedic evidence, be repaid except by folded palms containing water for their satisfaction? Such great personalities can be satisfied only by their own activities, which are distributed amongst human society out of their unlimited mercy. So Prabhupada did this, right, for us. He gave us all the explanations, everything that we ever need to know in this world. So how can we repay him? We cannot repay him, but we should become grateful and dedicate our life. What is the most dearest thing that we have? We should offer it to the Guru and Krishna. And our dearmost thing is life itself. So we should spend our life reading about Krishna, chanting about Krishna, and sharing it with others. And you may say, "Oh, I don't know much about Krishna. How can I share? I cannot argue. I cannot present my arguments very nicely." Doesn't matter. If I am not qualified, even more so, I should preach by distributing the book. You can just simply say like this: "See, I am not perfect. I don't, I don't know much how to explain everything, but I am convinced, and it has saved my life. These books will save anybody's life. You please experiment. You please take one book and start reading and see how it changes your life." Of course, as one matures, one will be able to explain better. But who can explain it better than the pure devotee himself? Right? So our explanation should lead to them taking the books and then they themselves tasting the entire full spiritual significance of those books and the knowledge and becoming successful in their lives. Okay, so we'll stop it here. Jai Srimad Bhagavad Gita ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Vyasa Purnima Vyasa Puja ki jai, Ananta Gauri Vaishnava Vrinda ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande Hari.